Y'all thought we were done? Absolutely not. We got the second book. Come on, let's go. Hey guys, my name is Naija and welcome back to my channel, Caffeinated Nooks. I'm in the same outfit, y'all. So if you guys see this first, go watch the other one so you guys can kind of see it in chronological order. Today's video is going to be a review. It's going to be the second part to the previous video that I uploaded that I will link somewhere in the cards above so that you guys can watch that and get the full gist of what I'm talking about. First book was Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is Tomi Adeyemi, Children of Virtue and Vengeance. You guys know how I felt about the first book, 5-star, and this follows suit. The first book, we left off, I don't want to spoil it too much, but they did eventually bring magic back, but there's a twist. So let me read the inside to you guys first so that we can get into it. They killed my mother, they took our magic, they tried to bury us, now we fight. After battling the impossible, Zaylee and Amari have finally succeeded in bringing magic back to the land of Orisha. But the ritual was more powerful than they could have imagined, reigniting powers not only in the Magi, but of the nobles with magic ancestry too. Now, Zaylee struggles with uniting the Magi in Orisha, where the enemy is just as powerful as they are. But with civil war looming on the horizon, Zaylee finds herself at a breaking point. She must discover a way to bring the kingdom together or watch as Orisha tears itself apart. The twist is even the nobles seem to have gotten some kind of powers as well because they had ancestry that linked back to magic. It's something that we see Zaylee battling, like actively, because she just feels like they do not deserve these powers. They do not deserve the right to use it. They do not deserve the right to use it against us after they took it away from us. She is battling with that feeling of like, now what? And she feels like she can't do anything. And so she kind of sits in it and she doesn't really want to do anything. But obviously there's war looming and she's the person who brought magic back. So they're going to look up to her. This book really, it made me dislike a lot of the characters that I liked in the first book. And rightfully so. And it's not like a why did she make us dislike this character out of nowhere? I can see how I would start disliking said characters. So let's get into it, okay? So first of all, I can never hate Zaylee. Not even Zaylee can make me hate Zaylee. I feel like she is just the epitome of just being like a leader. We get the descriptions of Zaylee just being this beautiful girl. Nobody can keep their eyes off of her because that's my girl. I told you. This specific book made me so very sad for Zaylee, because imagine fighting with everything you got. Imagine going through everything that Zaylee went through in the first book, bring magic back to her people, to the people who deserved it, to the people with this ancestry, to the people who were stripped of it, for it not only to be just brought back to them, but to the nobles that oppressed them, shackled them, hated them, and for those nobles to use those powers against the very people whom they took it from. I would be pissed, and Zaylee is rightfully so pissed. And there is a good part of this book where she's like, I don't even want to use my magic because why? And you see her kind of regretting bringing magic back, and not for the reasons that you would think, but it's just the reasons that why do these nobles have it. It's not a fun time, and Zaylee is dealing with a lot. And also there's a new character revealed. His name is Rowan. He was introduced in the last book. I didn't bring him up really that much because he wasn't really like the most instrumental part of the book. He was bumped into and then they went to him in later things for help and he helped them. But even though he was like a really interesting part of the book, he wasn't like a main character. So I just didn't bring him up, but he is very much so mentioned in this book quite a few times. He's not yet really a main character until like the end, but he is a really important character nonetheless because he is the one that helps Zaylee through a lot of overcoming a lot of things that she didn't even know that she needed to overcome. And I think he is such a special guy, and I love him. I'm in love with him. I'm in love with a lot of book guys, to be honest. I'm a book whore. But I think Rowan was really one of the only people that was there for her in these times, and I'm so grateful to him for that because a lot of stuff happened and it just is not so Zane. I love him. I think he had a little bit of a redemption arc from because last time he was in the book, he was a good brother, but then he said some things that had me like, you're a hypocrite and you deserve to be punched in your mouth. But like in the first book, I don't know if I mentioned this, but like in the first book, Zaylee was apologizing quite a lot for a lot of things that weren't even her fault. And you know, there was one part that I cannot bring up in the book that made me really mad, and Zaylee even brought it up later on. The gist of it is Zane, like I said, tends to save Amari quite a lot, and I think in this instance he saved Amari before he thought about saving his sister. And I understand understand that you may like this girl, but at the end of the day, I'm choosing my sisters over everyone. And I think that I just correlate that to like anybody in a book. Even if they do not have the best relationship, that they're gonna pick their sisters or their siblings before they pick anyone, because I'm picking my sisters before I pick anyone. I don't care, love, interest, anything. Well, like if I have kids, we gonna have to figure it out, because I'm picking my sisters and my kids. But you know, like a love interest, I'm picking my sisters. So I think that he had a moment, but he did redeem himself later on, okay? But you know, I also think that he kept making excuses for Amari, and he was definitely taking Amari's side a lot of the time, and I did not like that, because stand by your sister, okay? Now Amari. I really disliked Amari in this second book. I disliked her with like a passion, and that was like so surprising to me once I started reading it, and I'm like finding out these things. I'm like, these are your thoughts and opinions and how you feel about this situation. And I really, truly, and honestly started to dislike her in more ways than one. She was not a good character. I could see how it would be Amari to feel like this, because she was raised to be a princess, so she thinks that she's of this higher importance. But that is like kind of like, is there, the monarchy is there, but it's like, it's there. In this kind of setting, she was not of importance, and she wanted to be of importance so much that you could see her and the jealousy that she had towards Zaylee, because she brought magic back, right? Obviously, Sane and Amari, they helped and they fought with her tooth and nail, but ultimately it was Zaylee who brought the magic back. It was her who said the incantation. She was the only Magi there. She was the one going through the rituals, and while they were helping her, which is greatly appreciated, and obviously they had a part to play in that, they did not bring magic back. And you could see that Amari was upset. She was jealous. She was like so resentful of Zaylee, because you know, once the Magi came back, like they're going to Zaylee for advice. They're going to Zaylee for, oh, so what is your opinions on this and this and this? And they're not asking Amari, because Amari is a noble, and they are very distrustful of nobles, which is justified, because the nobles took their powers. Not only is she a part of that noble family that took their powers away, she's also a noble that has powers, and so they are so distrustful of her. They don't think she deserves those powers, and they keep going to Zaylee. And I just felt so upset, because every time Zaylee had a time to shine within this book, Amari tried to take it from her. Like, she couldn't believe Zaylee when I couldn't believe her ass. I couldn't believe nothing that she was doing. I couldn't believe the thoughts that she was thinking, the jealousy that was evolving within her. She wanted to take the spotlight from Zaylee at every single moment. Anytime Zaylee had the time to shine. Anytime Zaylee had been asked her opinion. Anytime. And Zaylee helped her in a way that Zaylee really didn't want to help her, and she tried to guilt trip. I think she gaslit and manipulated Zaylee into doing what Zaylee did to help her. And then she did exactly what Zaylee asked her not to do. Exactly what she promised Zaylee that she wouldn't do, she did it. And it showed that she obviously doesn't know how to be a friend. And it's not surprising, because she grew up in a castle with her father and her brother and her mother being a princess, being respected, and she didn't really need to form these instrumental friendships, because everybody probably wanted to be her friend, or everybody was faking to be her friend, or everybody was nice to her, and she thought that these people were her friends, and so she didn't have to work to do these friendships. So when she saw that Zaylee was in her own community, because that's Zaylee's community, that's not Amari's community, when Zaylee was in her community and she was being like welcomed, and her people were like, you know, just these amazing people, just strong-willed, amazing, gracious people, and Amari saw that, it's like she wanted to take that. It's like she wanted to make it hers, like as if like she's the princess, and she's like, Daddy, I want those people. And that's what she was doing, and she was like laying the groundworks. And what she did at a specific part in this book, that she really became her father, she really became her mother. And at that point in the book, Inan was a better person than her, which is crazy, because Inan is crazy. That man, I don't know, I think he's deluded. But we're going to get to Inan in a minute. Amari was not a good friend, and Zaylee kept trying to be a good friend to her. No matter what Amari did, Zaylee still was trying her best to be supportive of her friend, to be the friend that she needed, to be like she considered her family. And then what Amari did twice, it shows that she does not have regard for these people. She does not respect these people. She has a savior complex, and you don't need to be saved. Sometimes I understand there's war, and I understand that you don't want it to happen, but sometimes you can't be that savior. You are not important. And even at one point, Zadie was telling her, and she was like, no. And they're going back and forth. And she's like, I'm starting to think that you want to be the queen. And Zadie never said that shit. She's just here among her people. She bought magic back. She didn't bring magic back to be the queen, to be the person that everybody came to. But because she bought magic back, people are coming to her. And she's feeling accepted within her people. But you, Amari, as her friend, her best friend, you couldn't even sit there and acknowledge that these are her people and they're coming to her. And this is a time and a moment where she's being enveloped by people who are just like her, who grew up just like her, who had to have the same struggles and face the same challenges as her. Their parents dying, their siblings dying, their uncles, their families dying, being torn away from them for something that they can't control. And you can't see past your jealousy and your savior complex. I cannot stand Amari. She was the villain. I think so. I mean, she wasn't the villain, but she was the villain in my mind, okay? Because she just was like against Zaylee. Like, if you, like, throughout the book, girl, I could open it to any page and be like, because I remember the first time I read it, I was like, is she jealous, question mark, dot, dot, dot. Couldn't be. Zane was standing by her for a good part until she was really fucking up, and he was like, you done lost your damn mind. I had a rant on her. Then we have Inan, whom Amari made look like he was like the best person in the world, because she was just terrible. He was a little bit better. I think he saw error in his ways, but he was still very delusional. I think he had this savior complex as well. You know, in the first book, he had promised Zaylee a lot of things, and he had betrayed her, and no one expects anything good of him. I don't. So the little bit of good that he did, I was like, oh, okay. He was trying, but like, I don't know what's going on with him, but every time he tried, something happened. And he was like, actually, war. Is he not? I don't expect anything else from him. But there was a part in the book that made my heart melt for what he did for Zaylee. And, oh, not me. I'm getting like a little tingle. You know how when you get the little tingle before you start crying and the tears start leaking out? Calm down. But it did. It made my heart melt. Because I know, like, he did some crazy shit. And I don't think I feel like when you do certain things that hurt someone, I don't think you love them. But Inan is so fucking confusing. Because I do think he truly loved Zaylee, even though he did all that fucked up shit. Because that one part that he tried to give her back, it just made my heart melt. And I think it made a lot of people's heart melt. And even like Zane, he was like, I think they both have a savior complex. Because they saw what their dad did and they wanted to be the savior. But you can't be a savior when you're using the same tactics as your father and anything goes. You know what I mean? They got Rowan. I told y'all about Rowan. That's my man. That's also possibly Zaylee's man. He is a fun time. He is fun. He's witty. He jokes a lot. And he's a very flirty guy. And I love those kinds of characters in books that are super heavy. But don't get him confused. Because he gonna joke and he gonna laugh. He gonna hee-hee. But he also gonna fuck some shit up. He is what did they call it? Like, I think like a rogue person. Like, he is in charge of a group of bandits. A large group of them. And he be doing his thing in the field, okay? It's not too much to say about him because while he was in this book quite a bit more than he was in the first book, and he was in the book a few times, but we didn't know his name the first time he was introduced. He wasn't like as heavily talked about, and then we got him in this book a little bit more. So I'm hoping in the next book we get him a lot more, because something happened in this book where he is gonna be possibly in the third book, which makes me really happy because I feel like out of everything, he is Zaylee's happy ending. It's not specified like whether they're gonna be together or anything, but there is, I feel like there's a spark going on between them. I really do love Rowan because in the first book I did not care about romance. Even in this book I didn't really care about romance. But I was a little bit more interested in this romance than I was in Zaylee and Inan's romance. Even though this romance wasn't even classified to be a romance. They were just like, you know, they was crushing. So I'm hoping that I get to see more of him. I'm hoping that we get to see more of their dynamic in the third book. But guys, I'm so happy. This series makes me feel just butterflies in my stomach. It makes me feel so happy reading this book. Talking about this book makes me feel so happy. I wish I picked this book up earlier, but I think everything happens for a reason, and I picked this book up and I loved it and I adored it. I'm so happy that I was able to experience this for the first time, and I want you guys to experience it for the first time too. So please guys, if you can, when you can, pick up this book and read it, because it's like so significant. Like, I remember this book so vividly, and it's been about like 3 weeks since I've read it. Maybe 2 to 3 weeks since I've read this book, and I remember every single thing vividly. And I want to go so deep into detail. If I could, these 2 videos would be like 4 hours long, because I would really go into detail about these books. But I want you guys to experience it for the first time the same way that I experienced it for the first time, with all the twists and turns, with all the revelations, with all the love and the hate and the in between and all that. I want you guys to experience it the way that I experienced it, because it was an experience, okay? But yeah guys, if you guys like this video, please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click that little notification bell so you get notifications of when I read. You get to see more of me and more of my contents. Also, if you guys want to, you can follow me on Instagram. I am on Instagram quite a bit, as well as my TikTok, my booktok. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all of you, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace out.